Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. It's me, Christiana, and we are continuing the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, and today we're going to talk about challenges. So, oftentimes when we're younger and we encounter a challenge, we see it as something really intimidating, really scary, something that is meant for adults or those who are more mature than us, that are the ones that are able to handle it appropriately and the ones that are able to persevere through it. And when we are left with trauma or any sort of experience that lets us believe and hold on to this belief that we can't handle challenges and that we can't overcome certain obstacles, we tend to hold on to that hurt little child inside of us that is afraid to take that jump and to push themselves further beyond their own capacity of comfort. And we can carry this on for years. It can carry us on through our entire lives, all the way up until the point where we can observe it and we acknowledge it and we see that it's there, and we are able to get the proper tools for healing it, whether it's through therapy, through counseling, through spirituality. And the ironic thing, which I think is super funny, is that oftentimes when we have hurt experiences, especially when we get hurt as children from other adults, the adults that we look up to themselves oftentimes have undeveloped ways of handling obstacles, and they too get fearful of overcoming them in a mature, responsible, uplifting way, and they get sidetracked from negative emotions and karmic traumas that prevent them from acting as a truly developed and a best version of an adult that they can be. So then we also act out in this way, and we can develop these negative patterns from them. So we always encounter challenges throughout our lives, and these start right from the beginning, right? Like, we don't know how to swim and we're afraid to jump into the pool, and we're afraid to get off of our tricycle and go onto the bike. And when we meet these challenges when we are children, it's so magical and special, because you see how children react to it. When we're small and we're learning how to do the two-wheeler and how to jump into the pool and all these things, how to swim without our life vest, we are afraid of it in a way, and we do get uncomfortable by it, but it is a completely different energy because there's more excitement in there than anything. And we say, yes, I get to move up to the next level, I get to go on to the next step, I get to overcome something today and be courageous. And we take on almost this superhero attitude about it, of this is my challenge in this story and this is how I'm gonna overcome it. And we are so excited to see how the story unfolds, what things we learn, how we mess up. If we do mess up, we get encouragement to get back up and go out, because we have been told all these courageous, heroic stories over and over again on a daily basis of how we can really overcome hardships. And then we get older and we experience negative blockages and a lot of trauma, whether it's bullying, or maybe we don't have the most emotionally mature parents, the most fully developed adult figures to look up to, and something in us shifts and something in us changes. And it's almost like we get afraid of new challenges that are to come. And it's almost like for some reason we think that when we're little, that's when all of the growth is supposed to be, and at some point we just somehow stagnate out into this full-blown adult where everything gets figured out. And if nothing is 100% figured out, then something is completely wrong, and you need to be ashamed of it. We are so afraid now. We are so afraid as a society to go into challenges. And when we find someone who's not afraid of feeling uncomfortable and not afraid of pushing themselves, we see what society does. They uplift them. The moment they succeed in it, we uplift them and they become, acknowledged and famous and whatever the recognition is, and we say, oh, this person is one of a kind and truly incredible and blah 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 blah, when really in reality is that they truly are no different from any of us. But the one thing that does make them truly incredible is their ability to persevere through challenges. And Avatar: The Last Airbender is the perfect example of this, because Aang shows us the attitude that we should have when facing challenges. Even Zuko, because they're both so persistent and constantly never give up. Never give up. They both have different energies. Aang is definitely, he comes from a more innocent, childlike energy with it, of saying, why can't I do something? And he does get disheartened at times, but at the end of the day, always his belief in his own energy and his own capabilities overcomes any self-doubt. And Zuko's is definitely more refined to societal patterns such as trauma, where the trauma that he's experienced with his father does let self-doubt creep in more, and negative self-talk. But he also uses that as a fuel to fuel his motivation for bigger and better things. And I think the energy that Aang taps into, that's so sacred and so important for us to do the same, is tapping into imagination to understand what is possible. Because if Aang focused on the person that he was when he hatched out of that iceberg and was told that he had to defeat the Fire Lord, and if he was stuck on that present perception of him and that present understanding of what he was capable of, he would have never had the courage or the confidence to even face the idea of confronting Fire Lord Ozai. And instead, he saw it as something super, 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 super imperative for him to do. He just knew that this is something I have to do. It's in my destiny. I know that it's going to be hard, but I know it's going to be scary at times, but I understand that I have no other options. I understand that this is the only thing that I can do. And he doesn't know how he's going to do it. He does not know the hows of any of it. He doesn't know how will my teachers come up about, how will I get to a point where I'm strong enough to face him, how will I be smart enough, how will I be quick enough. He does not focus on the how or the when. He just knows, and especially in the beginning here, because later on we find out when the when has to happen. But instead he just trusts in that it has to work out, that there's no other option available. And that's how true manifestation comes into our lives. And this is why kids are so amazing at manifesting, because we hold on to our imagination. I think of the SpongeBob imagination. Kids are amazing at imagining and seeing what is not there right in front of them. And because of that, they are amazing manifestors, and we can learn so much from children. And if we tap into our inner child, we can unlock so much for ourselves. Our whole world begins to change, because you're no longer stuck in the present moment in a bad way, where the only possibility you see is what is around you. It comes with this ride or die belief in that there exists something more than just what you see right now. And Zuko's energy was also coming from a place of the child. It was coming from a hurt inner child, but he still used that energy to manifest things that he could not see at that moment. You know, that he could come back to his father, that he could, and these were the wrong intentions, we realized later, but nevertheless he manifested it. And this all happens, this courage to pursue this all happens when we understand that we don't have it all figured out, that we are still growing. This pillar of belief that we live by, thinking that we are always evolving, is so important for ourselves. Because so many times we go on in our lives, and especially when we were little, we would see the old cranky man who is stuck in his ways, who is stuck in his era, has not come up with the times, has not caught up with the changes that have happened in the world around him, because he's stuck in a particular mindset. And this is what adults are infamous for. We think that we have it all figured out now, that we are who we are, and we've stabilized the person that we are. We have ourselves figured out. It's kind of like clay, right? Like when we first open like a batch of clay, we can mold it and frame it however we want. And then as we get older, it stagnates into this tough, dry, fragile ego. When that's just not true. That it's we can always add to it, we can always make it fresher, we can always mold our form and shape our future. But because we're sold on this idea when we're little that growing stops at a certain point. Oh, when you're grown up, when I'm grown up, I'll be like this, and when I'm grown up, I'm going to be a doctor and a doctor only, and we don't leave space in this society for change. We don't. And that's one of the ways that we're going wrong. We are holding on to old-fashioned beliefs that we've reached this peak of maturity and that we have to stay there. When that is never true. Even trees are an amazing example of this. For those of you who know me, I love using the analogy of trees. But even when they are mature, they're still changing. They let go of their leaves in the fall. They remain barren in the winter. They bloom in the spring. They flourish in the summer. There's a constant collection and letting go and evolving and then letting go again. And then thinking you finally got it this time and you know who you are, and then letting that all go. What makes it so subtly done but beautifully done in Avatar is that we don't even think twice about it, because Aang just does what he does. He's like, oh, I have to face the Fire Lord? Okay, bet. I'll fucking do it, and I'll do an amazing job at it. And I might slip up sometimes, but I'm going to do an amazing job at it, because he's holding on to this innocence which lets his energy be preserved, where he can then use it in that way, the way that it is intended, which is in complete alignment with who we are, knowing our nature. That really only happens in its purest form when we are little. And when we're older, we can expect to get some blockages in between us and ourselves. But then we have to awaken. We see a lot of people awakening to the truth, which is that we're not bound by any circumstance. We're not bound by any age. We're not bound by a place or by anything in our environment. And so once we hold on to this pillar, this discipline of remaining faithful and loyal as fuck to constant evolution and growth, only then, and being in line with yourself, so that you can see, okay, what are my goals? What do I want for myself? Who am I really? Only when those two combine can you even be courageous. Because a true courageous deed it doesn't just come from you being like, oh, you know, it's gonna be like hella courageous of me if I just like jump in front of this bullet so this woman doesn't get hit or some shit. Like, that's not courageous, because you are really just going out for your own ego. You're doing it for your own ego so that you can gain the title of courageousness. But there's not this true, it's tainted, and it's not this pure sense courageousness. And once you understand, like, okay, this is what I have to do. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'll actually get it. I might fail. Or in Aang's case, I might fucking die and lose the whole Avatar reincarnation. A child who has a pure sense of childhood knows that there's no need and no time for energy to be spent on focusing on that. That is an area that is in the realm of the brain, of the mind, and it does not serve us. And at that point, that's how we know that things just get into overthinking and we go into overdrive. And our mind just starts working 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I need to have this exact plan, and I need to know how everything's going to go for it to work out, or else I cannot do it because I cannot be guaranteed that it'll be okay. So we need to reject this idea that everyone's trying to throw on us, especially us millennials and the Gen Zs, what is it, Zoomers? We need to start rejecting this because it's now being passed down onto us, and it is our generation that can say no fucking more. We really don't need this. It doesn't serve anyone. All it does is has created anxiety, and we're no longer in those times. We have evolved past that. We're no longer in those times. We are now in a time where people's careers change year by year, and people's passions change all the time, and people can actually be whatever it is that they want to be now. Before, there were so many systems in place that made it so difficult, but now it's really not the case at all. So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. Shout out to Sokka, shout out to Zuko and Aang for just being fucking amazing creatures. I love them both, but I'm always team Aang, because I'm canon as fuck. No, and because all I want to be is a Buddhist monk. He's my spirit. But like, we see fake courageousness with Korra, and that's what made it so like half-hearted. It felt like it had half of the soul that was in Avatar, because she was just doing the actions of it, and she wasn't bringing soul and life and spirituality into her actions. And people noticed that. We felt that. The audience felt that. Tenzin saw it. He's like, yo, you need to work on your spirituality. Because she didn't know how to work with it. She didn't know how to harness it. And everyone felt that. And it felt almost ingenuine. Because we were like, dude, no, she's not supposed to just go into the Avatar state during an air scooter race. Like, that's not okay. And we got mad seeing that she was abusing the spiritual value and significance of her avatarness. And it wasn't until she completely broke down that we started sympathizing with her, and we were like, oh shit, like we started seeing her human characteristics, and we started seeing these flawed barriers break down in front of us. And that's when we connected to her, and that's when her spirituality was awakened. So yeah, okay guys, that's truly all I have. Stay tuned for more. We're going to be doing more of these. I'm going to start rewatching the series. Please no one spoil anything about Korra for me. I'm in the midst of watching it. Please like, share, subscribe, share this video with anyone you think would resonate, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.